So Prof, you can grab the seat over there. We have a panel section. And can I just call again Prof. Dr. Felicia Shro to come for the panel section, as well as Prof. Dr. Cheong So Ching to come for the panel section. Right, so I think it's very rare for us to get all three of them in the same room, right? And they're all very well acquainted with each other. I'm sure they have coffee and tea and hangouts outside of here. But since we have the time, since we have them in our midst, it's a good time to ask for Q&A. And if you realize, girls get it done, so a lot of women power here. Right. So, any questions from the audience, from either of our panelists over here? Fantastic. I'll pass you the mic.
Good morning. I know her very well because we met in Kuching. You don't know me, but I know you. So, one of the questions to you, madam.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Yes.
You said that the urinary dipstick,
Yes.
due to low specificity and sensitivity. On what basis you're highlighting? Because we are developing a urinary dipstick,
Yeah.
similar to PHP. So
Like the pregnancy testing.
yes, yes. So we are very close to success, maybe 75 to 80%. Still, we need to go for more than 90. So you think this is a good time to investigate for another 5 to 10 years on urinary dipstick, or you think is there any success story?
So we actually, yeah, it is. Okay, so we actually believe for kidney cancer, the way forward is using urine over blood, but at the moment, whatever they are trialing in terms of looking for a protein, or whether it's CTCs and so forth, none of it is showing to be as specific and sensitive. In terms of urinary dipstick, the technology side of things may be good, but merging it together is where the issue is right now. So that's one thing, it's a challenge. Though that is what we want, that is the challenge. That's going forward, we want research to be done in those 3 areas. So the 3 things we have brought up is then maybe combining AI, get AI to help in terms of fastening the process, in terms of biomarker research, rather than looking at individual proteins and individual things. That's going to take years. So we are hoping that there will be a way in where everyone work together so that we could eventually have a kit. So rather than going a singular marker like pregnancy test and PSA into the prostate, we're thinking something like the CX bladder, which was created in New Zealand. If we can do that for kidney cancer, that would be great. Yeah. So right at the moment, it is not sensitive enough for kidney cancer.
Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much for that question. Yeah, do we have any other questions from the floor? Fantastic. The gentleman on the top, Prof.
Good morning. I'm Erwan from Kota Baru Head Office. So my question is really to Prof. Ratna. This is actually not personal, but actually I personally lost my father back into 2023 due to RCC. So he was presented dead at that time, and based on my experience dealing with being houseman and so on, so we some of the cases might be picked up incidentally, and a lot of cases actually was presented dead, and we do not have a specific screening program, unlike breast cancers, colorectal and so on. Maybe because of the, like you say, it's 13 in the rank. However, what's your view on screening for high risk group, for example, those in CKDs, those with maybe prolonged NSAID usage and so on? Like my father respected is smoking also, prolonged NSAID usage. So do you have any ideas for that? Thank you very much.
Yeah, so as we know that the incidence is only 4.2%, so that's why worldwide they're not recommending it as a screening program, and Malaysia is also not adopting it as a screening program. But they are supposed to be trying to push forward in identifying this group. So family history, so I would actually you should monitor yourself if your father had kidney cancer. So those risk groups pushing forward maybe in terms of advocacy. They need to actually try and create this awareness to people about kidney cancer, which is not being done because people are focusing on the top 3 and top 4 cancers. So they're not actually focusing so much on kidney cancer, but it's something which we haven't actually pushed forward with debating on the science. But I could bring this up with the urologists in UM and so forth and see if we can start doing more awareness screening in terms of awareness campaigns across the country at least, because first I think we need to solve the awareness problem, and then people might come forward when they know that family members or in terms of people who are more obese would come forward. And yeah, that's the only way I think at the moment we can solve that problem.
Thank you so much for the question. Thank you so much, Prof, for the amazing answer. Do we have any other questions from the floor? Yes, fantastic. Over there.
And then you can speak loudly now.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think the first question is to Felicia. I'm Lever from Singapore. Yeah, so thanks for sharing with me. It's amazing. I think they can hear me, right?
Yeah, it's okay. Go ahead. Don't give the mic.
Okay. So thanks for sharing the results. So the RNA, the epigenetics subtyping of cancer is of course very clear from the manuscript, and it's really nice done. I think this really complements work done by our Singapore colleagues, using microRNA to detect cancers, right? We also have our colleagues from Taiwan who try to use proteomics to subtype non-small cell lung cancers. But really, since the utilization of PAM50 in classifying breast cancer, subtyping for HER2, ER, positive, negative, the using all this RNA epigenetic subtyping of cancer hasn't really go into the clinics. So what do you think is really blocking that translation of this information?
Thank you for the question, Dhiren. I guess you're good at that. Honestly, you have molecular subtyping for breast cancer, and then we still have HER2, but then you can argue that HER2 targeted therapies came even before the molecular subtyping of cancer. So perhaps it was, Dr. can correct me if I'm wrong, maybe it was overshadowed by the precision medicine that came about with all the somatic mutation, targeting somatic mutations, because all the targeted therapies are targeting the neoantigens more so than the transcriptomic subtypes. But yeah, that's my
it's very interesting because we always have this thought in our mind that the identification of somatic mutations really delay the way we see precision medicine, because we now always trace for the next somatic events, and somehow we lose that insight that cancer is more than just 1 or 2 mutations. I think that really is true. And the next follow-up question, if I may, is really to ask the panelists. Yeah, everybody. So we talk about early cancer intervention, early cancer detection, from UK to US to Singapore, everybody's talking about it, right? And there are really a lot of efforts. But what do you think is really, really prohibiting, or what, in your opinion, is the major obstacles? Right? Is it the availability of technologies, for example, AI, or is it the availability of the assays? For example, Mimosa is a very good example of how you can translate it. Or is it simply just the willingness or the acceptance of the public to really do early cancer screening? So, in your opinion, I'm not sure what is your opinion on this.
Maybe you can start and I can. Yeah, Prof. Chong's opinion. Yeah, I will also want to hear it, and so thank you for the question. So for me, my involvement in screening programs has been relatively limited compared to the rest of the panel, but then what we worked on was on lung cancer screening. And here we were reaching out to individuals who were in the high-risk group to offer them chest x-ray with AI-assisted chest x-ray to identify those who could benefit from low-dose CT. But we've found that it depends on the people you're targeting. Certain people, even if the low-dose CT is free, they would rather not go.
Yeah.
Yes. So one would be the general concept that cancer is so they would rather not know. Ignorance is bliss, awareness, but I do feel it's improving in recent years, because with the screening program over the years, we've seen more and more people come forward. But it could be due to us knowing better which population to target. But really, I think it's mostly due to the awareness.
Yeah, so just to add on that, so I agree, it's actually more to do with awareness, and people are reluctant, so the point which you just said in terms of people are so worried to be diagnosed with cancer that they don't want to come forward, not realizing that if they come forward, they actually might have a very better survival rate. My personal experience, so kidney cancer, we're not doing awareness, but I do join the colorectal team, and we just recently came back. I was in Sarawak and we just came back. I think one of the NCCM people joined us, and what we found is sometimes it's also language barriers. So we did find that we probably need to start getting, even when we're speaking BM, they don't actually understand a lot of the questions. So we're trying to give out a questionnaire and to do the screening. So we do a lot of explanation, and sometimes we find that what is better is when you actually go to the community rather than assume that they know and that they will come to you. So that needs to be solved. So we need to do more drives, actually going region by region and doing talks. And I know it will need a lot of manpower, but that's probably the best way to improve the screening and hopefully we get more early stage cancers being detected rather than the late stage.
The preface is we work in urban. I work in the urban side more, so I think the barriers for the rural population is very different.
Yeah, I'm actually giving a talk tomorrow at the panel discussion about this topic. So I'm just going to elaborate because it's a big issue and it's multifactorial. They talk about awareness. Just to pick up on your question to Felicia, like what are the barriers, right? Moving a biomarker into the clinic first. Number one, I think is like I say, multifactorial. The first one is there's no funding to do this kind of work. Right, and if you look at the story for Mimosa, we've been doing it for a long time, pre-COVID, and during COVID we were able to implement it because of opportunity, and the threshold at that time was so low. So there's need to be a sustainability plan in order to do these kind of projects. And the way currently, I think the way we measure success is also part of the problem, right? I mean, you measure by getting your Nature papers. So implementation science is not going to give you a Nature paper, right? And grants also will not fund this kind, a lot of grants will not fund this. And universities also climbing the Times Index. I don't think implementation science is too high on the KPI ladder. So it's all these factors, and on top of that, I think the way universities work, at least in Malaysia also, is one PhD student churns out one paper and then leaves. So one of the reasons why we were able to do the project that we have is because I think Cancer Research Malaysia is not a university, it's a little bit different, it's a research institute. So therefore we are able to bring in a lot of multidisciplinary people who stay long and who sees the project through. So the project here was actually run by Dr. Sindhu. She's a MOH dentist before she joined us. So I think it's very many factorial. That is not scientific, unfortunately. Yeah, and on top of that, nobody funds biobanks, right? And in order to do the work that Felicia talked about and the work that I talk about, you really need a lot of longitudinal data and follow-up patients. I think it's funding, the way things are structured. I know I sound very negative, but obviously from Mimosa you can see that it can be done. But I think we need to really work together with public-private partnerships. So currently, if you see Mimosa, it could be it looks like it's a successful project, right? But what's next, right? So now we are really getting MOH to the table and talking like how do you make the impact even bigger. And in order to do that, then you have to bring in health economics, and then you have to bring in whether it's worth doing it, cost-benefit ratio, etc. And again, you can speak to Siva after this, we've already done the analysis. In order to do such a screening program, you're only going to see initial extra costs, right? Because you're going to find more people that were never found. And then after that, you're going to break even, and then you're going to see the cost benefits. But who is going to see that through, right? Because people need their KPI this year, next year, in 5 years at the most. So who's going to wait till, I think ours was 7 years or something like that. So these are the things that we are struggling with and we have to think about when we do projects. So for the students there, please stay for the long haul. If you want to see impact, you have to stay for the long haul. Yeah.
That was fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Very lovely questions actually from that end. Questions that I was going to ask, but okay, thank you for asking first.
So that's all for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Alright, so does anyone have any other questions from the floor?
Can I ask one question? one of the challenges, like what I was saying, is getting MOH to adopt a lot of these screening initiatives. So my question is this: how can you convince MOH to adopt these screening initiatives?
Thanks for the question. You know we are trying to do that, bringing your boss into the room and other bosses. So we try to keep engaging with them, and we have to engage in so many levels, right? At the state level, at the Putrajaya level, and we need to show them data, and we need to show them how it meets the country's goals. So that's why I always put the country goals and how we're going to work together to meet the country goals. And it's not something that this is a Cancer Research Malaysia project, because that's not what we want, right? We are a research institute. Once we show it works, you adopt it, you run it, we go back and do more research, which is what we are meant to do. So bringing a lot of people into the room and showing the data, yeah. Ministry of Health, as you know, is very excited. So many ministries are excited. The digital people are excited. The multimedia people are excited. MOH is excited. But I think, as you know, we really need to engage many people because not one single person makes the decision.
Thank you for the question. Thank you for the answer, Prof. I think we have time for one or two more questions. Does anyone have any burning questions to ask this panel? If not, then I will ask. So, I think this will be a question for each of you, and it'll be an opinion-based question. What question do you, or what advice would you give many of these young researchers, less young researchers out here?
I think I already gave mine in the slide, so just really collaborate. In the past it was publish or perish, then it became communicate or perish. For me, my opinion is like collaborate. My mentor once told me something that I remember until today: turn your competitor into your collaborator.
But mostly don't accept.
We usually give them much.
So yeah, so I agree with her. Collaboration is required. Now, one thing to realize with a lot of people is you need to know what your personal interest is and why you're doing a research project, whether you're doing it for your master's or your final year project or your PhD, because there is goals. You're doing it. Obviously, most people will be doing it for a high degree because you want to get a better paid job and so forth, right? That's your personal goals, and also, but you also need to realize when you do that, then you are another person who can help contribute to society. So you need to think about what you do will help society and keep your network. So you collaborate, but keep your networks and then grow your networking large enough that you are able to always know that you're in contact, and when something comes, put people in touch. So maybe you might not work with that particular person because you don't need, there's nothing that you're working with, but if you do know two people, connect them because it's actually useful. It may not even benefit you at all, but it will benefit society. So do that.
To add that, I think it's very easy to say collaborate, but how do you do that, right? How do you do that? Anybody knows how to do that or have experience, managed to do that? I think it's nodding. I think in order to collaborate, I think first of all you need to know your field, right? So if you're doing, I don't know, renal cancer, then you need to know exactly what's happening in the field, and that will give you a boost of confidence. Then, if you want to collaborate, you need to know exactly what you want, what you need, and how you can work together. Because a lot of the time, people would just come to, people like Felicia or, Dr. Rina and said, wow, I really like your work, let's collaborate. But exactly what is it that you want to do, right? Do you want to do epigenomics in a different cancer, and then, and you already have the samples? So I realized that every time I make a collaboration, I have never been told no if I know exactly what I want. I say, I want to come to your lab and do all of these with my cell lines. It's always yes. Yes, if we write a grant together, usually, right? I mean, money makes the world go round, unfortunately. So you first know your stuff. Secondly, know what you want. And third, network and basically ask for what you want.
Thank you so much for those lovely opinions. I think it's amazing, especially for all the young researchers here, to know that the hope and future is intact and that we are contributing to the scientific community and the public as a whole. So thank you everyone for your time here. But before we go, we want to give a token of appreciation to our lovely panelists and speakers today. So for you guys, you all can just take a seat there first and we'll get the token of appreciation out.
Now invite Dr. Jason Chin to present the token of appreciation to first Dr. Felicia Chong Fei Lei. Professor Dr. Chong Sok Chi. Associate Professor Dr. Ratnagauri Rajan. Thank you once again for your valuable contributions to today's session. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the first half of our morning session. We now break for coffee, networking and booth visits. Please join us again at 11 a.m. for the rapid fire presentations. Refreshments are available outside. See you shortly.